Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To help keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stokes Seeds. Pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes' 2017 Gardening Guide and their online articles. Whether you're adding texture through foliage, choosing a new variety for a splash of color, developing an existing garden, or starting from scratch, Stokes Seeds has some great catalog and online resources to help you through the process. Enjoy gardening tips and gardening trend forecasting from their garden writers and favorite chef. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stokes Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, harvesting, plus all the gardening accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Get growing with Stokes. We'll have more to come from Stokes Seeds in the next few weeks. For now, today's gardening question. Fred, we did get some email questions this week. You can always email Fred a question. Just go to planttalkradio.com and click on the Ask Fred button. Or you can email Fred directly. The address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Easy to remember. We got a email from Connie this week, and Connie writes a few emails every now and then. We appreciate it. She says, last spring, I planted a Jane Magnolia. It did very well until we had a couple of weeks of really hot weather in the summer, and then many of the leaves fell off despite keeping it fairly moist. Do you think there's a chance it's going to come back this spring?
I wish that I could talk to Connie just a little bit. I'm picturing what she has said, and then she doesn't say whether the plant recovered at all or did not lose all of its leaves after this initial blow. I'm suspicious of one thing, and that is many of us, and I fall guilty of it myself, you have both cash equity and sweat equity in a Jane Magnolia or other things. And the tendency, I think, sometimes in our heavier clay soils is to be too kind, too often, and so on in the period following planting. Now, I don't know for sure, Connie. I'm always on the optimistic side. Plants can go through, well, let's just say many physiological concerns and problems initially. I'm suspicious that the way that is stated, it may have been a little too much water, root death then following, or maybe even a bad transplant in the first place, and then it either lost leaves and they stayed away or whatever. I'm going to go backwards now to the fact that it lost leaves is showing me that the systems within the plant are still working. When it's called an abscission layer, when that layer forms between the bottom of the leaf, the petiole, and the little stem that it's on, that means the plant systems are still working. So to lose leaves in that way is less traumatic when I look at it. If it held, let's just say 50% of its leaves, then the chances are pretty good it'll come back. If that is held until the normal fall drop. If it held them on through this winter, which Jane does not normally do, then the chances are systems did shut down, abscission layer didn't form, and plant is dead. Now, being on the optimistic side, certainly I would wait until, well into May to determine if the plant is going to sucker from the bottom or if the little twigs are going to start supporting life and so on. So think positive, but be prepared to maybe even mention to the nursery, garden center, whatever, that you have a problem. So I guess just give them warning. I would never be too quick to pull a plant like that out of the ground to start over because, quite frankly, the roots frequently, assuming that they're okay, have gotten more growth. The plant just goes into a real significant slowdown because it's not happy, so to speak, and yet it's quite apt to come along. Even to the extent one time it happened to be a sycamore tree about 2.5 inches in diameter. We planted 3 for their purposes. 2 essentially flourished. 1 struggled and looked dead. Did not come out in the spring at the the person's request or wish. And I got there, unfortunately, quite a bit later than I would like to have, just because of the spring rush. And the plant had started to sucker from the bottom. With his permission, I told him I'm going to cut the main top off. There were 3 main stems coming out of the ground right at the ground level, thicker than my finger already, and standing nearly 2 feet tall. I said, let me take the top out, let me cut the other 2 back, and I said, with any kind of luck, that tree will have caught up at the end of the second year. And it did. It just came out like gangbusters, because the only problem was something went wrong with the top. The roots were strong, vital, and along it came.
Hey, thanks again for listening to the podcast. Remember, you can pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes Gardening Guide and their online articles. For the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to stokeseeds.com. Cultivating successful growers for generations.
Circle270media.com